Moving on, we got some other games to go over. So let's move on. We got the Dolphins and Ravens, which is probably one of the, I would say probably the game of the week. I mean, there's two other games that I'm thinking of outside of it, but Tua throws for 6 touchdowns. Jalen Waddle, Tyreek Hill, both absolutely feast. And they both come back from a 28-7 lead against the Ravens. First thing, Tua, I think Tua has gotten a lot of hate over the last year, especially with the Brian Flores stuff, the Deshaun Watson thing floating over him, and the fact that he was picked right before Justin Herbert. But Tua proved that he's a starting quarterback in the league, and I don't think he's necessarily going to limit them like people might have thought initially. Seems really good. They got all the stuff they need around him, and this team looks legit. As far as the Ravens, how did you blow a 28-7 lead? You have Lamar Jackson, you have Mark Andrews, and honestly, Rashad Bateman's looked pretty good. So how did you blow a 28-7 lead? That's coaching. That was a question that I had throughout the game.
Yeah, it's how do you blow a 28-7 lead? That's coaching when you're the Ravens and you're like, oh, what do they have to do to come back? Oh, well, they can't run the ball, so we should probably play 2 high safety, right? And not, I don't know, send our best one-on-one cover guy on a corner blitz. I mean, what are you doing? And then my biggest concern with the Dolphins was Tua's health. And then how are Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill going to work together? And are they going to be able to complement each other and not just be 2 really fast guys, but one of them is only going to be able to get his? Well, Tua answered, well, I know how to spread the ball to Jalen Waddle. And Tyreek Hill is in love with Tua. All offseason, he was saying nothing but praise to Tua with some slander towards Patrick Mahomes, which I didn't like, but this team clearly has a good vibe. A first-time coach in Mike McDaniels in his second game, having the wherewithal to rally the troops when you're down that much in the fourth quarter. And for the Ravens, it's like, yeah, you made a mistake on defense, but Lamar, it's also a contract year. I get you're up and you had a bajillion fantasy points, but it's kind of this LeBron James situation where he'll put up huge stats, but then he'll need to make one play in the fourth quarter and he just can't do it. It's like all you needed was one drive, one field goal to put this team away, and you couldn't do that. I mean, you're up 3 touchdowns. I feel like Lamar should be able to make one play if you're the MVP.
Yeah, I'm not going to slander Lamar because Lamar had a great game. Running, passing. I mean, he made a lot of really great plays. I get what you're saying with the fourth quarter thing. But overall, I mean, I think a lot of that goes on their defense, and they let Tua torch him, which I know I just complimented Tua, but at the same time, the Ravens defense, with the amount of additions that they've made in the last few years, their defense should not be giving up 42 points in any circumstance. Never mind against the Dolphins with Tua, who a lot of people had question marks going into it.
I feel like there's an excuse that you can't really coach against the fastest wide receiver duo in history. I mean, there's only so much you can do to cover them because you can stop one of them, but one of them's always going to be open because you have to play one of them one-on-one. And 2 of the fastest guys can also outrun the zone. So it's like, you really can't coach against what the Dolphins have, which makes them scary. Speed doesn't really translate as much to December football. Tyreek Hill has been the exception. So I'm interested to see how those road games are going to look when we get into November and December in some uncomfortable climate and how Tua responds. But I feel like the Dolphins this year are just the anti-Patriots where they go young offensive head coach, go out and get the star wide receiver, draft his draft mate in college in Jalen Waddle when the Patriots didn't do that for Mac Jones. And then you get a good defense around him with a great pass catching running back in Chase Edmonds. So Dolphins, very impressed this week. What do we have up next?